Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Sports PSP. Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic day. Before you check out the rest of the video, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the Sports PSP podcast on YouTube and check out the Sports PSP podcast live every Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. The highlight of Friday nights, of course, with me, Mr. Atlanta, BRF Sports, and the big fella, undisputed world champ. But man, I have a lot to talk about regarding Mick Foley. Yes, that's right. Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Mankind. He had a lot to say, especially about President Donald Trump's latest comments on the death of Rob Reiner. Let me read you the statement that President Trump posted about the death of Rob Reiner. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife Michelle. Reportedly, due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, had a lot to say. Here's his latest statement. Mick Foley parting ways with the WWE. While I have been concerned about WWE's close relationship with Donald Trump for several months, especially in light of his administration's ongoing cruel and inhumane treatment of immigrants and pretty much anyone who, quote, looks like an immigrant, reading the president's incredibly cruel comments in the wake of Rob Reiner's death is the final straw for me. I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles a man so seemingly void of compassion as he marches our country towards autocracy. Last night, I informed WWE Talent Relations that I would not be making any appearances for the company as long as this man remains in office. Additionally, I will not be signing any new Legends deal when my current one expires in June. I love WWE, will always treasure my time with them, and I am deeply appreciative for all the opportunities they afforded me. But in the words of Popeye the Sailor, I stands all I can stand, and I can't stand no more. So here you have it. You have an official statement from Mick Foley. So what are my comments regarding Mick Foley's departure from the WWE? Now, some people could say, well, Mick Foley, it's no secret, he has been an outspoken critic of Donald Trump in the past. Why couldn't he depart from the WWE before? That's a question that you're going to have to ask him, as Rick Strom from TYT Sports put it. But I have no problem with Mick Foley departing from the WWE. He's standing on principles. He's standing on business. He does not want to deal with the current president anymore. Now, President Trump's latest comments about the death of Rob Reiner. Deplorable, repugnant, shameful, narcissistic. But at the same time, are we really surprised with President Trump's latest comments? Are we surprised with some of the things that he says? Because if you go back and if you look at history, history will always repeat itself. That should tell you all you need to know about President Trump. What he said about Mexico, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crimes, they're rapists. Telling countries like Haiti, shithole countries. Telling congresswomen when 3/4 of them were born in this country and Ilhan Omar became a U.S. citizen in the state of Minnesota. Telling them to go back to their countries. Telling players who are protesting during the national anthem, taking a knee, sons of bitches. This doesn't surprise me at all with what President Trump has said in the past. And look, regarding the comments regarding Rob Reiner, all he could have done was just not gone on Twitter. Herm Edwards says it best. Don't hit send. Don't hit send. And I think with President Trump, I gotta admit, anytime when he says something nowadays, I'm not surprised at all. I'm not astounded. I'm not shocked. It doesn't surprise me. In the words of Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. And as I mentioned before, this is not the first time with President Trump. So nothing that he says at this point doesn't surprise me. My bigger problem, other than Trump's comments, is people condoning his comments. Well, apparently that's not the case, because some Republicans, one in particularly, Marjorie Taylor Greene, took issue with President Trump's comments about the death of Rob Reiner, calling it classless. And I think this is not the type of behavior we would want from our current president. His comments were repugnant and deplorable. It's also interesting to see how The Undertaker and Kane look at this, because they're great friends with Mick Foley. By all accounts, Mick Foley, one of the nicest, if not the nicest person in the wrestling business. Go ask Jim Cornette. I have not to this day heard a negative word about Mick Foley, the character, the human being. It's interesting to see how Taker and Kane take, because Taker and Kane are both Republicans. They've had President Trump on their podcasts, and they've endorsed President Trump. So, and also too, people are like, how come Undertaker wasn't booed on the day when Raw was on Netflix the first time, but yet Hulk Hogan, the late great Hulk Hogan, when he was there, he was booed? Well, because unlike Hogan, Taker doesn't have a history of being a liar, a fraud, a hypocrite. Hulk Hogan has. I mean, his racism, his lies, how the way he has talked about people, done things to people in the business. Look at Mick Foley is definitely one. Bret Hart is definitely one. Jesse the Van Ventura is definitely one. So that's why Taker was not booed on the Raw of Netflix, because if you know anything about Taker, he's known for having integrity. It's interesting to see, especially with Trump's comments about Rob Reiner, how are Taker and Kane reacting to this, as well as Mick Foley's departure from the WWE. It's interesting to see how they're feeling about this. As far as what the WWE is concerned, I think they'll still be fine. They're still going to do their business. They're still going to keep on. But I have no problem with Mick Foley's decision. Kudos to Mick Foley for standing on principles. And the comments we heard, like I said, from the Commander-in-Chief, it's repugnant. But at the same time, what else do you expect me to say? I'm not at all surprised or shocked. Not even a 5-year-old child would react that way. I would think that someone in the occupation that President Trump is in, and as old as he is, I would like to think that he would know better. But like I said, you look at what he said about countries like Haiti being a shithole country, what he said about people from Mexico bringing drugs, they're bringing crimes, they're rapists, still claiming that the Central Park Five are guilty, even though they were exonerated. What he has said about men and women of color, how the way he looks down on people, how the way he treats people, how the way he comes off like a petulant child, I am not at all surprised. And it looks bad for President Trump when Republicans, as I said, Marjorie Taylor Greene, criticizing you. And I just think that it's more than just President Trump's comments. It's just that people will still find a way to tolerate or condone the president. As Ben Franklin put it, there can be no justice until people who are unaffected are as equally outraged as those who are. And if anyone condones President Trump's comments about Rob Reiner, then that tells me who you are as well. It's not just the president. It just tells me what type of a person you really are. Because no one can tell me the comments that President Trump said No one can say to a straight face, I can support or defend his comments, because you can't. They're indefensible, they're reprehensible, they're repugnant, they're shameful, it's disgraceful, and that's all I can say. But please leave your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about President Trump's comments about the death of Rob Reiner? What do you think about Mick Foley departing from the WWE? Do you see any former or current WWE wrestlers taking the same position like Mick Foley? And do you think people need to hold President Trump more accountable with his words? Those are my thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. I am Sports PSP. Enjoy the rest of your day, and peace.